Hello everyone, welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. For today's preview, Scotland versus Australia, the Autumn Nation Series gets underway tomorrow, and it's a pretty good clash because I think at the moment we're talking about a rugby rankings, for example. We're talking about a rugby world order where anyone can beat anyone, and I think that is we haven't had this for quite a long time, and I think that's going to make a whole new spin in this Autumn Nation Series. But I think there are so many matches where you walk into them and you're going, I actually don't think he's going to win this. And I think this is one of those matches, you know. If we look at the World Rugby rankings, for example, they're so close. Like the permutations that are being sent out, for example. I mean, you do permutation videos from next week in terms of what's going to happen when more teams play. But I mean, you've got Australia who's playing against Scotland. Scotland is higher ranked than Australia, but by about 1.4 rankings. So you know there are plenty of things that can still happen. Um, in this game from a sort of a world ranking point of view. But I think the main thing, if we look at sort of what the permutations are the fact that there could be a lot of movement during this time. So, for example, if we look at Japan, if they beat New Zealand by more than 15 points this weekend, they climb above Australia if Australia lose. So Australia can go down to 10th if they lose tomorrow after Japan beats New Zealand, which is very unlikely. Um, but for example, Scotland can't improve; they cannot go up to 6th. But Australia can go up to 6th if they beat Scotland. So Australia could go up to 6th, from 9th to 6th. But Scotland obviously can't make up enough to go to England. But if Scotland beat Australia, they can move it further to a sort of touching distance. And then they've got New Zealand coming up. And if they were to beat that, then there can be a lot of movement. So there are not too many permutations this weekend because there's only 2 matches. But there's a lot in this sort of next couple of weeks. But before we look at the two teams here, please do smash like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. This is the Scottish side, and it's a good Scottish side. For me, it's a Stuart Hogg and Finn Russell list side, which makes me sad because I think those two players are very exciting to watch. I think that Stuart Hogg, when he has his days, whenever you look at like big Scottish victories, Stuart Hogg is often decides to play a blinder. And I also think that regardless, even if he's not playing his best rugby, to say that Finn Russell isn't within the best top 3 Scottish fly halves currently, for me, is a very strange thing to do. So I don't really agree with that selection. I know it's been a very big thing. I think it's a good pack. I do think that's a very good pack from Scotland, and I think that the pack battle is going to be interesting. The question is, can that pack give them the platform for some of these backline players to really have a go? So if we look at the side, we look at the front row, Piers Kuhlman, Dave Cherry, Xander Ferguson. Good to see Xander Ferguson back in the plane there. Very, very talented tight head. And I think that up front, they'll be a lot better for him. Sam Skinner, Grant Gilchrist in the second row, I think is fine. I think Grant Gilchrist especially has got a lot of experience. And it's a nice loose trio of Jamie Ritchie, Hamish Watson, Matt Ferguson. Big Matt Ferguson fan. Very physical. Loves carrying the ball in hand. You know, I think Jack Dempsey off the bench also offers quite a lot, actually. And I think, obviously, we know what the Mish does. But Jamie Ritchie as a captain was a very interesting decision, and it was interesting to sort of see how many players have sort of backed that as well. But if you look at the back line, Ali Price, British and Irish line, and vice captain, he and Grant Gilchrist sort of sharing the vice captain duties. Blair Kingwood is a player for me who has shown potential at fly half, but has yet to really take that sort of step up. Really has yet to have that game where he sort of says, I'm in charge, dictate play, and it has a kind of that masterclass. It's a very good back three, though. Dylan Van der Merwe, Darcy Graham are pretty lethal finishers. And Ollie Smith at full back is a nice player as well. Sione Tuipulotu and Mark Bennett in the centres. I'm a big fan of Tuipulotu. I think that he can get over the advantage line. I think he will be very direct. And it's some nice players off the bench in the likes of, so it's George Turner, Jamie Batty, Viepi Nell, then Glenn Young, Jack Dempsey, George Horn, Ross Thompson, Damien Hoyland. It's not a phenomenal bench. It's a solid bench, I would say. I think Ross Thompson's a nice player. I think again, it's you don't want to sort of place too much emphasis on the player. I just think Finn Russell makes this team a better team, and I think that he's very unpredictable. I think that he blows hot and cold because that's how the player he is. But he has the potential to bring that world class performance. I wouldn't say he's world class because he's maybe not consistent enough, but he has a world class performance in him, and I think that's quite important. And if you look at this Australian side, first of all, the big news and fantastic news: Michael Hooper is back in an Australian jersey. He will not be captaining the side, but he is back. And apparently fully 100% committed, ready, and for me, could very well be captaining the Australians in the World Cup next year. But tomorrow, J.F. Slipper will captain the side. Between he and Michael Hooper, 250 international caps between them, or just shy of that. So plenty of experience there. David Parecki in the second row, and Alan Alatoa in the number 3 jersey. 2 locks of Nick Frost and Cameron Neville. Interesting to see how Neville go. You've got the likes of a Ned Hannigan coming off the bench. Your loose trio, Jed Holloway, Michael Hooper, Rob Valentini, it's a very nice loose trio. I think that for me is probably the most exciting part of this Australian side. Very keen to see how Hooper goes on his return. Valentini just so direct, such a big ball carrying presence. So I think him versus Matt Ferguson will be a nice duel there. Tate McDermott is next to Bernard Foley. Bernard Foley will hope for a very good end of year tour. Noah Alessio being on the bench, was sort of the preferred flower after in the Rugby Championship. Bernard Foley being brought in from sort of the fringes after the injury to Quade Cooper. James O'Connor very much falling to the wayside. But Bernard Foley has an opportunity, I think, during the next couple of games for Australia. They're actually playing 5 to get himself into World Cup contention. You then got Tom Wright, Andrew Kellaway, Tom Banks as your back 3, Hunter Pasami, and Len Ikatai on the centres. I like both of them. I think they're nice players. I think we saw in the first Springbok game how lethal they can be. And I think that centre battle between Pasami and Tuipulotu will be quite a fun one to watch. Off the bench, Fainga, Matt Gibbons, Tupou off the bench has been a very interesting sort of way to go about it. Obviously brings a lot more than just his size, but he is a very physical ball carrier, decent scrum time, deceptively fast. You then got Ned Hannigan, Pete Samu, Nick White, Noah Alessio, and Jock Campbell on debut for the Australians. So very keen to sort of see how he goes out there. Let me know what you think about what your score predictions are down in the comments below. I've got a funny feeling that Scotland will win this game. Yeah, lots to play for Australia because a win will put them into 6th place on the world rankings. And to be honest, I don't understand how Dave Rennie's not under pressure if you look at his win record, because it's pretty terrible. Despite the performances, the results haven't really gone Australia's way. So they need to get a result tomorrow in Murrayfield. But I do think, I've got a gut feeling, I think Scotland will be able to take it in the conditions. But let me know if you think otherwise. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Stephen. I'll chat to you soon.